Hello, you're watching The Shift Asia. I'm Frida Liu. AVPN is Asia's largest network of social investors in Asia. Public and media sentiment around AI transitions in the workforce is mixed. While governments are implementing policies to support a positive AI transition, there's still concerns about job security. A PwC survey found that although many view AI positively, 16% fear losing their jobs. Now, this uncertainty is especially challenging for disadvantaged groups such as women, seniors, and youth. I'm here with Muthushi Sengupta, AVPN's Chief of Capital Mobilization, who's leading an effort to build an AI-ready workforce and ensure that no one is left behind via their $15 million AI Opportunity Fund launched in partnership with Google and the Asian Development Bank. Very nice meeting you out in Singapore. And I guess maybe we should start with a little bit about AVPN. For those who don't know what AVPN is.
Thank you so much, Frida. Really a privilege to be here with you today and to have the opportunity to talk more about our work. So AVPN is the largest network of social investors in Asia. We have got over 600 members across 33 plus markets. Our mission is to increase the flow and effectiveness of capital, which means financial, human, as well as intellectual capital across countries to actually create impact so that we are well on the way for social development.
Right.
Our members include foundations, corporates, and family offices, and we look at ourselves more as an ecosystem builder. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Now, why is AI workplace just transition Asia necessary? And what are the implications if we're not ready? I mean, I think paint that picture for me.
Absolutely. I think we are in a very, very significant moment in time. The rapid adoption of artificial intelligence across Asia presents enormous economic potential, but it is also a moment of acknowledging our risks, especially for the vulnerable groups, which will carry the burden in a disproportionate manner. And we really, really need to do some careful planning so that we do not see widening of social inequalities and exclusion from the new economy that AI is promising us. In fact, 80% of employers in Asia Pacific are already using or planning to implement AI. But many workers are quite unprepared for the new demands of work. This lack of access to training and reskilling opportunities leaves these groups really at risk of losing their livelihoods and completely in lack of sync with their current lives as they know themselves. So what is AI just transition really? We look at it to make, to just answer for ourselves to figure out, what would the transition look like if we wanted to carry everybody along with us. Right. It is about making sure everyone, including the most underserved communities, have the skills and resources needed to succeed in the AI-driven economy. Mm. And we can't do this alone. There is no way any one agency or organization can do this by themselves. So we need to have governments, businesses, and social organizations to collaborate to ensure that AI benefits are accessible to all, and not just to the skilled workers alone in the urban centers. Right. And what will happen if we don't do anything about the ongoing transition process? The risks of not preparing for an AI just transition are significant. And we'll come to that later, I hope. Right. If we fall close to if we fail to close the digital divide and ensure inclusive AI education, these groups will face unemployment, underemployment, and further social marginalization. Right. We have got now data to say that, the workforce is expected to grow by 165 million by 2030 in the region. Mm. And how can we use AI as an opportunity to engage larger sections of society and not be, totally stay at the mercy of, doing things unplanned and unworked. So in a way that, these communities continue to be left behind in this whole process.
Right. So what is this 15 million AI Opportunity Fund, and how can, I guess, people get access to it?
Sure. So, because it's such an important moment in time, I think it is a moment of recognition as well that intent by itself is not enough. So we have to, look at ways by which we can action this intent as well. And it is crucial to connect investors with social enterprises, nonprofits, and community organizations that are working directly with underserved groups at this point in time. And that is where AVPN's AI Opportunity Fund comes into place for Asia Pacific. So we launched this fund with support from Google.org and the Asian Development Bank. This is a 15 million fund spread over 3 years, and which is designed to bridge the AI transition gap in Asia. And the main objective is to equip Asia's underserved workforce with essential artificial intelligence knowledge and tools for them to start engaging with the new economy as such. And so we are looking at collaboration with nonprofits, social enterprises, trade unions, government bodies to make sure that there is adequate skill building opportunities, and also be able to influence policymakers to ensure that a more inclusive AI landscape emerges across the region.
In these 3 years, what will these organizations undergo? What kind of training will they undergo?
So, as a first point, what we tried doing was to conduct a comprehensive landscape study to figure out where are these population groups really residing at this point in time across the region. And the study is in quite advanced stage at this point, and we expect to launch the recommendations or the findings by the first quarter of 2025. And the fund actually looks to target workers from vulnerable groups, for example, including women returning to workforce, seniors, youth, and person with disabilities as well. Now, who gets to access the fund and who will qualify? I mean, I think there are several opportunities to engage with the fund. We have already identified a cohort of well-established, highly credible organizations who we term as strategic partners to help us guide along the way in each of the countries that we want to work in. We are in the process of selecting community-based training partners, which include nonprofits, social enterprises, trade unions, municipalities that have the capacity to reach out to the vulnerable population cohorts. And in addition, we are planning to host several convenings for interested partners to provide inputs to the ongoing debates around AI and on ways to make this transition to be more inclusive. And lastly, but not least in any way, as part of the initiative, along with our strategic partners, AVPN intends to reach out to policymaking institutions in the countries to share our insights from the activities undertaken and to propose potential pathways forward for a more inclusive approach.
Right. Okay. And I was going to ask, like, what challenges or contributions might these underserved communities bring to the AI landscape in Asia? Are we just trying to make sure we level the playing field, and so that the underserved don't get further left behind?
Absolutely. It's a bit of many things, Frida, at this point. So I think current discussions around AI often focus on technology and governance, neglecting the people who stand to be excluded by such advancements. It's a phenomenon actually that we are witnessing at this point in time. So cannot really underestimate its impact in any way. And AI is and will continue to reshape the business processes, particularly in sectors like manufacturing, logistics, customer service. And this will impact millions of workers across the region. However, underserved communities, I think especially women returning to the workforce, people with disabilities, older adults, and youth will face a disproportionately higher part of this transition burden, actually, unless we help these communities in a more intentional manner. And so typically, we are trying very hard to work with the processes now to actually work both from a demand and supply side, trying to ensure that, the people who are going to be most affected have the right level of skills. And making sure that, they are able to start engaging much more meaningfully. And as AI algorithms go, particularly in hiring processes, you see, unless the skills are present, organizations end up inadvertently discriminating against groups who do not have the capacity or the skills to start engaging with this new economy as we talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there examples of how some countries in Asia are already working towards this AI just transition?
Yes, I mean, I think every country has its own way of looking into this, and they're doing it in ways that are most impactful for their communities as such. So, if we talk about Australia, Indonesia, and India, they're all focused on bridging the digital divide. As you most likely know, Australia has established the National AI Center to enhance AI capabilities. India has its Digital India initiative. And in Indonesia, they are guided by their national strategy on AI. Taiwan and Vietnam actually are looking at it from a slightly different lens. They are looking at it from the perspective of creating or developing workforces who are actually used to and who have the skills to work with AI in especially in emerging sectors. And we have Singapore and South Korea who are focused on ensuring equitable workforce readiness as well as digital and technical access. Interestingly, we see Japan coming up with, ideas of what does ethical AI really mean and what are the boundaries around this. And they are still in that process of setting those boundaries and, the processes and the guidelines. And it would be really interesting to see what emerges out of that line of work.
And what risk might arise if the people element is overlooked in AI policy making, right? And how might this impact the workforce and broader society out here in Asia?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is also a moment to ask ourselves that if systems are to be designed for people, then how can we leave them behind?
Right.
Rising inequality in income is a significant wave across the region and actually across the globe. And so, how do you ensure that you don't end up supporting systems and processes which perpetuate that gap and make it grow as well? So, that is why it is so important to look at keeping people center stage, looking at human centric systems adoption. And I think the AI train is well on its way now. I mean, it's moving really fast. What can we do now to make sure that, both these, elements of operators and others can actually work together in a more meaningful way? We cannot afford to take a one size fits all approach, frankly, because it doesn't work when we talk about developments. I mean, if we don't get this right, all the SDGs that we are talking about, especially, whether we are talking about SDG 1, 2, 3, I mean, there are ones which will be directly impacted and there are ones which will be indirectly impacted. But I can't think of one single SDG out of the 17 which is not going to get impacted if we don't get this right. And so it's really important. And discussion around AI regulation needs to evolve beyond the economic growth context or technological dominance. It has to be elevated to as a positive disruptor and not really just a disruptor by itself. And if we don't deal with it now, I mean, looking back at history, we would have lost that chance to actually make that difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that I've not asked you yet?
I just like to say that, work needs to happen at several levels. And I'm really glad that your platform is actually looking into this in such an intentional manner because we need more voices, we need more communication around this and far more collaboration. But yes, I think we have covered a big part of this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, you've been watching The Shift Asia.